Just as when you just think back, 100 plus years ago, agriculture and farming, someone one day invented the tractor. And the tractor completely revolutionized and changed not only the industry, but the role of the farmer. And it did it not by replacing the farmer. Go drive on the 5 freeway up to San Jose with me after this call. We're going to see farmlands and farmers. So it didn't replace the farmer. What it did was it changed the way that the industry operates and what the farmer does. It took away that manual, where the plowing, sowing, horse-drawn plows, where it took the whole village to plant, harvest, prepare the fields. It would take weeks or months. Now someone comes in a tractor and it's being done in 2-3 days, a week. Not to say farming's easy. We know it hasn't changed, but it revolutionized it. And then it allowed the farmers to switch from spending their entire life in the fields. Their children can't go to school because now I need your help and work in the fields. And what they were able to do is, study crops, plan different type of crops, crop science, yield optimization. It's, effectively turned the U.S. into the breadbasket of the world. AI is having that same impact, not only now, but will continue to have in the accounting profession.
What's up, everybody? My name is Mike Whitmire. I'm the co-founder and CEO of FloQast, inactive CPA, also a FloQast Certified Accountant. Welcome to Blood, Sweat, and Balance Sheets, the podcast where I talk to executives about their career path and really what the future of business is going to look like. Today, I'm very excited for our special guest. Our very own Chief Accounting Officer, Dan Callaghan, is here to talk about his career path and really where he sees FloQast today and also the future of AI broadly within accounting. So, Dan, welcome to Blood, Sweat, and Balance Sheets. So happy to have you here.
Thank you, Mike. It's great to be here.
Awesome.
Exciting. I've seen many episodes, and being on this side of the camera is great. So thank you.
A little intimidating. There are a few cameras in
here,
but
different, but
team's cool. They make it easy.
Yes.
So you'll be good. Cool.
Yes.
And it's all stuff you know about. So easy conversation. Let's start with the easiest part. Maybe introduce yourself. Sure. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'd love to go into your career pathing as well, and just kind of tell us how you arrived on this podcast today.
Sure. Thank you, Mike. So I began my career in public accounting, much like most of us, a little over 30 years ago.
Okay.
So I started with KPMG, working with them out of their Los Angeles office, still LA person,
Nice.
Born and red, but LA office in their financial services sector practice, where I worked on audits of banks, savings and loans, and other financial institutions. After finishing my first year with KPMG as a manager, I hit a point where I wasn't sure financial services was what I wanted to focus my career on. And oddly enough, at that same time, an opportunity came to join PwC out of their Silicon Valley office in their technology practice. So moved over to PwC, where I worked on the audits of a mix of public and private clients in their technology practice, two of which I helped take public as the audit engagement manager on their IPOs. And for me, that was kind of one of those salient moments in the career where I said that was what I wanted to do, was be part of a management team that helped build a business versus accounting, or I should say, auditing.
Yeah.
Although we all are accountants and love audit. So I switched from public to private, where I am to this day. I've held roles now ranging from the controllership, chief accounting officer, and pretty much everything in between, with 8 different companies, 7 of which are publicly traded entities, and 3 of those I also helped take public from the controllership role, this time as part of the management team.
Okay.
So they're in the pre-IPO, through the IPO, and then that transition from private to public company, building quarterly processes for close, earnings, 10Q, 10K. Too many Sarbanes-Oxley implementations and adoptions. In addition to those, I've had the opportunity to lead various things, M&A, both from the buy and sell side, public and private debt and equity offerings, international expansion, ERP and financial system implementations, and too many adoptions and implementations of new accounting pronouncements.
All right.
It's been a great career, and it's great to be here and have this chance to speak with you.
That's awesome. Well, incredible background. Part of why we wanted to hire you so much. So that's wonderful to hear. I'm going to pick on a little bit of detail within there as we go through. So you would have left audit. I'm trying to do some math in my head about 30 years ago. Then you made it to manager. So did you enter the tech world? Like where in the bubble were you?
Oh,
when did you move into the world?
I love that. So that was actually a big driver for me coming up and joining PwC and
I mean,
leaving.
I'm sure that's why they were recruiting up there. We have all this business. We need people to move up. Yeah,
exactly. I was working late one night in the LA office. The phone rang and it was a recruiter. And I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted to do. So I came up right towards the latter part of the dot-com bubble, 1999 and into 2000s when I moved to Silicon Valley.
So Cisco was at an all-time high.
Yep.
Stock price. Yep.
Cisco and Yahoo was ruled the internet. There was no Google yet.
That's that. Okay, yeah, that's crazy to think
Yep.
about.
Yep.
So you moved up then, so you got to see like the really explosive growth time frame from the audit side of the table. By the time you moved into controllership and the managerial side, where was the stock market at that point?
Bottom, burning, crashing.
Okay.
Yes.
So wait. So you saw it all crash and you're like, I want to go do that.
Yeah. Well, and the odd part, I know it's funny because I'm glad you say that because a lot of people point that out. And I said, but that's where I saw the opportunity.
That's good. You
right?
don't want to buy high and sell low.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although that's my investing strategy, but for career path, I do a little better. So
Yeah,
yes.
that's really smart. That makes perfect sense. So, okay, and can we name some of the companies? Like, what was the company you first joined?
First one was it's kind of Harmonic. So it was it's still around, video and broadband delivery for cable and satellite TV. So to put it in context, these were the days before there was HD TV, or now 4K that didn't even exist. So what they did, they specialized in was video encoders for the delivery of the HD signal, and also that gave them in the pipelines and the fiber cables more bandwidth so they could start delivering broadband. Prior to that, back in these days, everything was still modem. So if you remember the...
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Yep.
I think most of our listeners won't, but...
so I've gone from that to cybersecurity. Company was Sum Total Systems. It was referred to as Human Capital Resource Management Software.
Yep.
I say, okay, I like the term, so you were familiar with it.
I was at Cornerstone. We were competitors. There we go.
Okay.
I know it.
Okay, so then there was FinTech and InsurTech. So Meridian Link, Guidewire Software, Poshmark, great company. What else do we do? Coupons.com. It's now Quotient Technology.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're familiar with Safeway and the Just For You program, it was their platform that was powering that. And then, of course, now AI-powered accounting transformation platform.
Awesome. That's a nice run. A good variety of like companies, all in tech, high growth presumably, but good mix of segments there. Cool. And then when you moved from transitioning from audit into accounting, like what were some of the culture shocks for you? Some of the I didn't see this coming. Like what was that transition like?
There were a lot. That's bringing back.
And did you go straight into a controller role? Sorry to cut you off there.
No, yes, I did. It was controller of accounting services. So it was the first role. I think the biggest thing is you were in public too, so you'll remember the days of you just work till the work is done. Nobody leaves until the partner leaves, and then when the partner leaves, the manager, and if you're everyone else, you wait, and it's that hierarchy. So in business, people work their behinds off, but there's more flexibility. So the first thing that struck me was kind of that, wow, they actually treat us better here. It's not I can actually go home by midnight.
Right.
As long as you get the job done, but they let me go home. So that was one. I think the other one is as you know from being in public too, auditing firms are very structured, not only in the hierarchy but the process, policy, procedures. Here's how we do it. Here, copy last year's work papers, bring this over. In business, mature companies will have something very similar to that. But a lot of the tech companies, especially when I started back in the dot-com days, it was like the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
So you knew what it was supposed to be, but it didn't exist. It was like wanting what the road is. The road is supposed to be there, but I'm still in the backwoods of Louisiana.
Yeah. You had the there's no same as last year when you're
correct.
When you're saying that.
You create.
Yeah. I'll tell just a brief story of my experience there. I was assigned a client where it was their first audit ever. So no same as last year documentation. I dreaded it when I went out there, but by the time I was done, I was like, this is the best learning experience I've ever had. I had to just figure it out, and I actually know a lot more about audit and get it more now that I had to develop it. It's
when you have to do it, like apply your knowledge and take it from the theory and the textbook to, okay, how does that apply here?
Yeah.
And how do I get the information here? And how do I present the case for here? It's a completely different experience. It's where you really learn. I agree with you.
And industry and tech, you're just sort of rinse and repeating that because there's very few things are documented oftentimes. And so it's sort of figuring it out all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's part. If you're the right personality, that's what's exciting about being in that world, right? Yeah.
Yep. And it gives you a different degree of control too. In public, you don't have control, as you know.
Yeah.
So you do what you're told, when you're told, how to do it now. In industry, you can actually build. You can, create the process so that it may be tough this year, but next year we're not going to repeat this.
Right. Yeah. And you get to make your own calls. And with that, great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility as well. So you're going to be held accountable for those decisions that you make. But it is more empowering, I would say. Cool. All right. So then your journey into FloQast. So you had this amazing career, and then you get a call from a recruiter, presumably, with this opportunity at FloQast. Like, tell me a little bit more about the process and how you decided to ultimately join us.
No, it's a great point. It's odd, Mike. So I was at the time at a company, very happy, things were going well. We were actually a customer, so I was familiar with the product, and I had been researching. I forget who our account rep is, and I need to find him because he was awesome. And he was already showing us, look what we're going to be coming out with next year. And it really piqued my interest. So I was already very interested in the company. And then to your point, I get a phone call one day. And I'm like, this is a sign from God. And what I really liked about it was, and it's really one of the things that keeps me here, and I'm so proud to be here as part of our company. We are at the forefront of what I see. This is a technological revolution, from my perspective, in what is happening today with AI, accounting transformation platforms, and where our profession and industry is headed. And FloQast is at the forefront of that. That was one of the big things I loved about PwC. When I first joined PwC in the tech industry, their gap wasn't what it is today. A lot of it was done by, there is no literature for this, so what's reasonable? And by analogy to other pronouncements, and you basically, when you were doing these IPOs or audits, gap was being generally accepted accounting practice, was being established and created. In many respects, I view that's what we're doing here at FloQast, and that's what I love about what we do is, our industry it's evolving as we speak. Right now things are changing while you and I are on this discussion. Yeah. And being part of that was really what drew me to it and what keeps me just so motivated.
It's funny you should say that. A quick story. I was spending time with some PwC partners, and I asked them, I go, I wonder what guidance around auditability of AI is going to look like, blah, blah, blah. And it really struck me when he goes, yeah, we're helping write that.
Yep.
Like, oh, yep, duh, that makes perfect sense. And then we're at a point where we can work with them and understand that and build our product properly. Not just that, but also have a say in it. Like, hey, maybe we should be considering XYZ things. And it's a fun position to be in. And we're very lucky at FloQast to be in a spot to be able to do that.
We're kind of guiding the future, which I like.
Yeah. And on that note, with AI and what the future is going to look like, I think one of the things I notice with accountants is there are very few companies painting a vision for what the role is actually going to look like going forward. And I know you have a favorite AI analogy you'd like to dig into. So would you mind doing that and then kind of provide some context around how you think AI is going to impact the role of the accountant and what that's going to look like going forward?
So the analogy, if you will, it's the tractor moment.
Yeah.
So this is my official, in my other companies, they would call these Danisms. So this is
good. That's going to be adopted here now.
Yeah, so this is the first official Danism. But just as when you just think back, 100 plus years ago, agriculture and farming, someone one day invented the tractor. And the tractor completely revolutionized and changed not only the industry, but the role of the farmer. And it did it not by replacing the farmer. Go drive on the 5 freeway up to San Jose with me after this call. We're going to see farmlands and farmers. So it didn't replace the farmer. What it did was it changed the way that the industry operates and what the farmer does. It took away that manual, where the plowing, sowing, horse-drawn plows, where it took the whole village to plant, harvest, prepare the fields. It would take weeks or months. Now someone comes in a tractor and it's being done in 2-3 days, a week. Not to say farming's easy. You know, we know it hasn't changed, but it revolutionized it. And then it allowed the farmers to switch from spending their entire life in the fields. Their children can't go to school because now I need your help and work in the fields. And what they were able to do is, you know, study crops, plan different type of crops, crop science, yield optimization. It's, you know, effectively turned the U.S. into the breadbasket of the world. AI is having that same impact, not only now, but will continue to have in the accounting profession. Not by replacing accountants, but by, what it's going to do is the grind. Just thinking of the close, when you're like, Dan, why can't we be closed faster? Why don't you have numbers? I'm like, well, Mike, you know, it's only day 3 of the close and we're still reconciling expenses and pulling in data. These are the type of things: data entry, data processing, data reconciliation, spreadsheet analysis and comparison, expense aggregation. These are the things that AI does exceedingly well and can do it so much faster than a human and an accountant. Much faster than you can do VLOOKUP. It can do these things.
Yeah.
And then what we can do now is, with the time that's saved, we're going to be able to redirect our teams, our people, our thought, our efforts into higher value tasks. And, you know, that's where, you know, just like farming is, you know, the U.S. has become the breadbasket. This is going to allow accountants, the role is going to completely change from being spreadsheet jockey, bean counter. Do you know Excel? In the future, I don't need to know Excel. I just need to know how to give instructions to AI agents, and that will do it for me.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. So compelling vision. And I'm going to extend this analogy a little bit. It got me thinking as you were going through it. So like, we talk in accounting about a talent gap that we have, and it's going to be an accelerating talent gap. And that's because we hope businesses continue to expand. We hope the economy expands, and we don't have enough accountants. And as such, there's going to be a talent gap with it. If you compare that to food and agriculture, imagine if the tractor had not been invented.
Correct.
Demand for food would still shoot through the roof, and we simply would not have the supply of talent to do the farming to feed the country, let alone the world. And we'd be in a dire situation today. So yeah, you play that out over 100 years. I think we're all happy that the tractor was invented and those jobs were eliminated, but really repurposed for more things. Like your crop yield comparison is really interesting. Yeah, because that's like people who are interested in that world, instead of going and planting seeds, they were now more in the science world working on optimizing seeds and making it better. Yeah, that's a fascinating comparison. And we have that going on in accounting, but I think it's tough to see that today. But if you just play things out for another 10, 20, 30 years, like we would be in a similar spot in accounting.
Yes, because when you think of it, Mike, you know, one of the ways I view AI, what is it really? You know, again, I'm an accounting nerd. I'm not an engineering geek, so I'm not going to try to go into the details. Other than what does it do for accounting? It's effectively a virtual assistant. There's not one company I've worked for, one team I've been on where we didn't wish we had help, especially in the crunch hours. If I could only get this sooner, if I only had someone to help me with this data, if someone could be looking at this reconciliation and compiling this, and that way when I come in the morning, I'd have the entries and I could analyze it. Instead, I got to stay up all night and do it. Now AI can do that. It's, you know, your virtual assistant. You can lay, just like in football, that foundation, the blocking and tackling, data entry, data processing, data reconciliation. All of this can be done while you're sleeping 24/7, 7 days a week. You've created where these are the things that bite people in companies where, okay, my person won the lottery, my person got COVID, my person quit and took another job, and suddenly it's like, oh, who's going to do this? And there's this gap. Now we can have AI filling these foundations, and then the team effort, now I'm remediating SOX deficiencies, I'm focusing on the audit, I'm closing the books sooner, I'm documenting processes so that when somebody leaves, I don't have these gaps, all the things that you never have time to do.
Yeah.
AI gives you that foundation now. That's where it's going to really change what we do.
It's interesting because it's probably going to raise expectations. So what things we view as, some of the things you laid out might be perceived as nice to have things from an accounting department, but not 100% necessary for running the business. I bet you those things that might be nice to have today ultimately become table stakes in 5 years. That's just the expectation. If you're not doing that stuff, you're simply not good at your job.
Correct. It's competitive advantage. And if you don't have it, you will be in trouble.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So with that, a shift in the future, that requires different knowledge, different skill sets. At FloQast, we have rolled out a FloQast Certified Accountant program to attempt to help accountants succeed in what we think the future of accounting is going to look like. So can you tell me from your perspective, being the CAO of FloQast, like what's your take on the FloQast Certified Accountant program? How do you think it's going to do? What are you doing with your team around it? Just like talk to me more about that program.
I'd be happy to. I'd say it's critical and it's great. And I should add, in addition to CPA, I can now add FCA, FloQast Certified Accountant. So I did it myself.
Yep, lead by example.
Yep,
very well done.
Thank you. Did it myself. It's critical. It is the future. The way I look at it, Mike, going back to when I started public accounting, everything was binders, 16-column work paper. We didn't have laptops or computers. That was your second year in the firm. You were given those. I remember at the time I didn't know how to type, because when I was growing up, typing just an elective in high school, and so I had my typing is henpecked, which it still kind of is, but I'm much faster and better at it than I used to be 30 years ago. But it was typing and henpecking. I didn't know how to use a computer. Very quickly, you find you need to learn quickly because the industry and the technology is changing. And so I would spend a lot of time practicing, learning, late nights, etc. Similarly, to get indoctrinated with the change in the technology, where accounting transformation platform like FloQast, which that is the future of accounting operations, and the AI integration with it and AI agents, this is the future. You have to learn it. You cannot, try to drive if you haven't had a driving lesson. You have to learn it. The beauty of FCA and FloQast, the FloCademy, this is free. It's available.
Yep.
There are videos. I mean, you and Chris and others, I've seen on the videos. It's there. It just takes someone if you're a professional, if you have that drive and motivation to make things better, bring change, add value, this enables it. And to me, it's a competitive advantage. So for myself, before I say all of this, I said, I need to prove it to myself. And I did. And I'll tell you, it was hard. It wasn't an easy course, but it was meaningful. It was something I knew I needed to do, and it was enlightening to me. And I'm not just saying that because it's FloQast.
Yeah.
We're already implementing it now. Things I learned from the program and the platform capabilities, we're integrating it within our own functions and process. And now I have that where my team, that's one of our goals and objectives for this upcoming year, is everyone take this and learn.
That was really well said. So like our goal with FCA is we want to make it as accessible as possible. So that's why it's free. We want to encourage people to do it. Another benefit is you do get marketing it right now, but you do get CPE credits. You can remain active as a CPA as well and have both of those. But yeah, the content itself is not necessarily going to be easy. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but we want to make it as accessible as possible to really like help shepherd people into that next phase of accounting. So I'm glad you said that, because that is kind of like accessible, but not easy. I mean, it's
once I started, I'll be honest. I'm like, I wish I didn't tell everyone I was going to do this. It was like
Yeah. I do think a lot of accountants. One of the things that annoys me about the stereotype of accountants is that we're kind of slow to adopt technology.
Yes.
And I hear this a lot from VCs. I was like, oh, accountants are the last one to adopt anything. And yes, that's true, but I don't think it's because of the accountant. I think it's actually because of the IT budget process and how it ultimately is then trickled down through the org. Like revenue is always going to get the first IT budget, and then IT budget's going to get increased for the next year, and then it's going to go to someone else. And so accountants just are the last ones to get it.
Yep.
And to me, the best example of that is Microsoft Excel was one of those pieces of software that was brand new, and it was purchased by an IT department and immediately available to everyone. And accountants were the fastest ones to adopt it. So it's not an accountant mindset problem. It's the way the company buys software problem. And so I'm very bullish on accountants' abilities to go become an FCA, be encouraged to do it, want to do it, and then go push your IT team like, hey, let's carve out some budget so we can do this. Like, I think it's, I'm excited about it.
No, I am too. And you touched on a great point too, is it's one thing to say, I need this, if you can champion it internally. And then when you're being challenged by your IT or the CFO and to get the budget, get the resource allocation, well, explain to me why and how. if you haven't done the homework on what this can do and how it can apply, to your, just like we were talking about, switching from public accounting to industry and being able to apply knowledge. If you haven't done the homework to understand this is how this can help me, this is what I can use these agents for and where they can fit into our process, and you're not able to articulate that, it further compounds what you just described, because it's just like, okay, so you just want, but anyway, the revenue team needs this, or that's where my budget and resource is going to go. So it's critical for people, in my opinion, not only if you're a FloQast user already, but if you're thinking about it, or even if you're not, and you just want to learn, and you just want to get acclimated and familiar with where industry and technology is taking us, it's critical. I mean, just like I had to go from henpecking to, it was actually video games where I learned. It was before chat programs.
Oh, okay.
So playing video games, I had to learn, like, watch out, he's over there, move, hide behind the rock. And so.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. It got me thinking, like, with AI and accounting, a lot of it's so abstract that kind of seeing it makes it more real for you. And I even think of 2 days ago, we ran a POC for one of a really large prospect we're talking to. It would be our largest account if we go ahead and sign them. And I remember pitching them, and you kind of do the AI arm waving and stuff. And I was like, okay, I get it. But then we build an actual POC for them, show them the use case, show them the value and how it's specifically for them. And then you can actually show, like, hey, we worked with your team, we understand the ROI, and this is going to save you 3,000 hours a year. And then you see how it works. And it becomes also less threatening in many ways, because, like, oh, okay, now my job becomes reviewing that all that work was done properly, and you start to paint it. So I think getting your FCA helps you also really visualize what this is going to look like going forward. And then, that just makes everything better.
No, I mean, it would be not in the future, not having that understanding that you gain from FCA. To me, it's going to be like, the old days where on your resume, I'm an expert at Microsoft Excel, Word, Power. It's like saying, I don't know how to use those. What's that?
The old proficient in Excel. Yeah, there'll be, if the bottom of someone's resume is proficient in FloQast, it's very different than them having FCA higher up on the resume.
Correct. Yeah, because like when I interview people, one of the things in the old days is that, what have you used? This our ERP, whether it's Oracle, NetSuite. And sometimes you have a candidate and you're like, well, we have Oracle, but you've only used this. But you're like, well, if you understand and ERP and databases, at the end of the day, this is just a different login and maybe a nuance here or there, but the concept you already understand. Yeah. So you're going to be able to do it. That's the other value of FCA. Even if you're not currently your company isn't using FloQast, which I'm sure we have a lot of people that we would love to talk to you. Even if you're not currently a FloQast user, having this understanding is going to help you not only at the current job, but 2, 3, 4 jobs down the road, where it will either be a FloQast user or they're going to ask you, what are you doing about AI? What are you doing to implement and make change? And what can we do to improve accounting? And having that knowledge, that's what it gives you.
Yeah. Let's get a little more tactical. I'm just curious here. So you are our first chief accounting officer. We had a controller before this, but then we brought you in with the IPO experience, scaling organizations. Like, as you came in, what were some of the changes you've made? What are some things you've identified? What are you focused on now in terms of helping grow FloQast?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, one, we have a great team, great company, great team. I guess
unfortunately, nothing broken. You got to.
Yes. Yes. I think the main thing, what we're focusing on this year, so this year, my first year with the company, we new auditors, not a first year audit, but new auditors. So we're kind of reestablishing legacy accounting policies, getting alignment with our auditors, KPMG, on, this is what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, et cetera. So we have that. And then the team itself. One of the things I've seen is we have great team, great people, but the growth of the company, the structure of our team. So I'm focusing now more the structure of our team. We were in some instances inadvertently, I think, creating some silos or bottlenecks within the accounting organization. Okay. So now what we're doing is we're kind of realigning our team and efforts towards functional requirements, like, okay, this is the revenue team and the revenue function, and take the related things with it and have those individuals focusing on it, versus before we were doing a lot of things more okay, who's free to help? So getting more focused and specialized, and then also bringing to that thought to, okay, let's use the learnings from 2024 audit and let's apply this for the foundation going forward. So starting to think ahead, like, okay, 2-3 years from now, as the company is growing, we need to scale with the growth of the company to continue to support it. And I've seen where things could potentially lined up, whether it's IPO or even if it isn't an IPO, just as we continue to expand and grow what it's going to take. And so it's removing kind of these silos and bottlenecks, single points of failure, and building a foundation that can leverage and support the growth going forward. And part of that, again, going back to not to belabor the point on FCA, is FCA. And how can we further our adoption of our own platform and now bring in the agents into it too?
Yeah. Well, we had a really fun slide at the board meeting yesterday where it was, put up a slide of a lot of our processes and where we're applying AI to it. And it was cool to see the G&A slide and how many times the FloQast logo was on that for various processes. That was a lot of fun. I think the board enjoyed seeing it as well. So you just went through quite a few things you're working on, and got me thinking as a CAO, you break your time into like strategic stuff, operational stuff, and tactical stuff. This is what everyone can do this. So in your role, I'm curious, like just percentage wise, how much of your time do you think goes towards strategic, like what I was hearing about how you structure your organization and what you're going to do? That's like pretty strategic thinking around it. How we're going to get the team upskilled and trained, all that. Operationally, running one-on-ones, having those discussions, versus tactical, maybe reviewing something. Like, how do you think your time is allotted, just percentage wise?
It will depend on what we're focused on at the time.
That's very fair. Okay. Yeah.
I figured you could appreciate that. During the the audit field work and stuff, especially myself being new and needing to get up to speed and review, okay, how have we done this historically, and then what do we need to do for the auditors today? So early on, it was probably spent a lot in the trench, literally. Now that the audit is winding down and we're kind of shifting towards preparation for the next year, it's more thinking, to your point, about strategy and, okay, what can we do to scale better? And what can we do? Where can we bring efficiencies? What can we do? I want to, have a day off, right? Have where we're building things where we're not waking up, myself at 3 a.m, where, I forgot about this, right? That's where I'm spending the time now. And then, come to year end, December, January, February, you'll be back in the trench. So it'll vary.
I will say this is one of the things I really admire about CAOs and controllers. I think this role, maybe more than any other, is one where you really have to shift across those three skill sets a ton. I mean, it's sometimes strategical, sometimes operational, sometimes reviewing a reconciliation. It's just kind of like, you got to do what you got to do at any point in time. I think it's an underappreciated part of the job.
Thank you.
You're right. You're welcome.
Yes. Well, it goes back to also the Danism of the farming analogy of think of if we were farmers, just the amount, even with the tractor. I mean, it's not to say their job is easy now. That work of planting, sowing, preparing, but one day you're going to harvest the fruit, if you will. That's what a lot of this is there's every time you have a new job, every time I've had a new job, the first couple of years you're building, creating, and then you're reaping the harvest, in years 2, 3, 4, 5, because you've built processes. Now things are working where before it was chaos. And so, it's only going to continue to be better as we grow.
It's tough to take on that kind of work when you feel like you're just on a hamster wheel trying to get through the next month end close. So it is important to find that time where, maybe what you're doing today isn't going to impact you tomorrow, but it will next year.
Yeah. And this is where it helps that I've done this before. I mean, I'm not saying it's fun or easy, but I know how the story goes. It's like I've seen this one before. Yeah, it's tough now, but it won't always be tough.
Right, and then you can articulate it to the team. Like, hey, at this company, we did it too late, and this is what happened.
And that's the biggest part. I liken it to having children. The first one's a guinea pig, but if you've had 2, 3, 4 at the end, you know what you're doing. Yeah. Right? They still might turn out bad. You don't know, but it's like, it's not because of you.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, this has been super, super interesting. I love your take on everything. Any other thoughts on AI, accounting, anything you want to wrap on?
Well, I think the closing, if you will, it's, encouragement and recognition for accountants out there on what that role of accounting is going to be. One of the things I remember just myself in my career path when I moved to PwC, said like we were kind of creating gap as if you're an accountant today, you have the opportunity to shape your own future and destiny. I mean, there has never been a time for accounting where, how many times have we all, if they only knew how hard I worked, I could do so much more than what I'm doing, but they have me, under this pile of invoices. Mm-hmm. You have an opportunity now with AI, with transformation platforms, FCA, to change your life, your career, your future. Get that seat at the board table that you deserve and have earned, but you haven't had the opportunity because of the work. This is that time that role is going to change. You're going to go from bean counter to business partner, thought partner, strategic advisor. You're not only what happened, but what should we do? And here's what we should do. So, I would say to people, embrace that, embrace this. Do what the way you do it is study. Again, I hate the shameless plugs for Flow Academy, but I'm doing it because it's been great for me. Yeah, and the learning. So it's not just plugging it, but it's been great. Is reach out and take advantage of this. That would be my advice to people on who are in the accounting profession. Add to it the shortage of accountants. Remember, tractors didn't replace farming or farmers. Mm-hmm. AI isn't going to replace accountants. It's going to change accountants.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And staying up on it is how you stay competitive in the market.
Knowledge is key.
Yeah. Yep. It's a polarizing topic, and some people are going to really excel with it, and some people are going to fight it and not enjoy it. But I think if you're into it and you are up to speed on it and train on it and get your FCA or whatever you want to do, like it can be a really exciting future.
Correct.
I'm pumped about it.
I am too.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, Dan, thank you for spending some time with us. I really appreciate your thoughts here.
Thank you, Mike. It was great.
You're welcome.